Okay, so here is my test that I printed out. I have stuff written all over it. If you will look, I've got sticky notes and notes all through it. Okay, so here is my test key, and I've got all of my questions right here. And then here is the correct answer, and then these are the TEKs that it's testing for each question. All right, so here's question 1, and inside there's my first piece of text, and then question 1. In line 14, the word gale means, okay, and there's your answer choices. All right, so let's look back at question number 1, and the TEK that goes with that is 8.2b. All right, I teach 8th grade, so let's go over here, and we're going to find 2b. All right, use context clues. Use context within or beyond a paragraph to clarify the meaning of unfamiliar words. All right, context clues. So that is the main idea. That's what this question is asking about. So I know that I need to teach a lesson about context clues where they would understand how to find them within the context of reading this passage and answering this question. All right, so that's my first lesson. All right, so I've created a cheat sheet, backwards design cheat sheet. All right, and this is a blank one. I'll make it available to you. You can nothing on here is copyrighted. I made all this stuff myself, so you're welcome to print it off and use it however you want, change it, whatever you want to do with it. I made this for you. So let's look up here. You're going to write your unit title, whatever questions that you have, and if there's not enough room on this page, you can just keep on going with another page. All right, so question number, what TEK is it testing over? What's the objective? Okay, what is the main idea of this TEK? So what is it asking you about? What lesson are you going to teach? How are you going to show them the meaning of this objective? And then demonstration, how will the students demonstrate their understanding? All right, so let's look right here. This is just an example page that I did. All right, so my first question, it's 8.2b. Okay, what's the objective? Context clues. All right, how are you going to show them? All right, this is my lesson. Read Dr. Seuss's book, One Fish, Two Fish. I know it's 8th grade, but they never get too old for that. They love it, and if it's a good example, then that works perfectly. Dr. Seuss's poetry, so it fits with the context of this unit. Okay, and then we're going to look at different types of context clues, whether you are finding the meaning of the word by a definition, a synonym, antonym, example, or inference. All right, so that's my lesson. When we're done with that lesson, okay, this is the demonstration, how the students are going to demonstrate their understanding. Have the students write a 3-sentence story, use the biggest word that they know, and they have to use one of these types of context clues in it. In their story, they're going to swap with each other, and they're going to find the meaning of the word, and they're going to find which type of context clue that other student used. All right, so that's one day. That's going to take an hour. That's one lesson. Okay, so you have done your first unit lesson is complete. That's done. All right, so let's start back over here. Let's go to question 2. All right, so question 2 is, which lines from the poem best suggest the voice in the poem is weary and exhausted? All right, and we're going to go to question number 2 is, that's 9D, that's the TEK that we're looking for. So we're going to look in here, and we're going to find, all right, 9D, describe how the author's use of figurative language, such as extended metaphor, achieves a specific purpose. So figurative language, that's going to be the main idea of this TEKS. So back here on your test, all right, figurative language, you write on a sticky note or whatever you want to do to let you know that this is your second day of your unit. This is your next lesson is figurative language, and you need to teach a lesson on figurative language where they understand the concept well enough that they could read this poem that they're going to have on the test and answer this question about it. Okay, so on your second day, let's look right here. Question number 2, that's your TEK. That's your main objective. Okay, read a release star poetry passage, discuss different types of figurative language, look at PowerPoint, students highlight the figurative language that they found in the star passage. Okay, that's the lesson. How are they going to demonstrate that? Student pretends to be the author of the poem and replace the segments that they highlighted with their own figurative language. That's going to show that they understand not only how to find figurative language, but how to use it and write it themselves. All right, so if you do that for each one of these questions, there is 12 questions on this test. So over here, this would go 1 through 12, all right? So we have 2 so far, and if you do that for each one of those, then you're gonna have an entire unit planned out, and that'll go very quickly. You can sit at your desk, you can write down the question, the TEK, the main idea, what are you gonna teach, and how are they gonna do it. You can do an entire unit, I'm gonna say within an hour. I've done a whole unit within an hour or less before. So that is backwards design in a nutshell, and that's the end of the first part of the session, and so we're going to move on to the next part.